An SOS alert on your phone might be caused by a patchy signal, but it could also be a sign that you've been hacked by a method called SIM porting. Now, it's where scammers steal your identity after finding out your mobile phone number. Hackers can gain control by having the mobile number transferred to another device. They do it by convincing the mobile phone carrier to activate the number on the separate device by giving them basic information like your name, address and driver's licence number. The hackers typically go on to access your finances and more personal information that can be exploited. Claire Harrison is a business owner from Bendigo in Victoria, and she was distraught when hackers accessed her information.
The only thing you own essentially in your life is your name. Sorry, it's very emotional to talk about, which sounds silly, but it's your kids, all your kids' information, your medical details.
Web security consultant Troy Hunt says scammers can quickly take control of your identity through this method.
Both of them lead to the same end result, which is someone else controlling your phone number. Porting is typically moving your phone number from one telco to another. Perhaps you're moving, say, from Telstra to Optus. And attackers will attempt to port your phone from one telco to the other where they can then take control of that number. And SIM swapping is when they literally get another SIM issued from the same telco. So they might go to your telco of choice and manage to convince them that they are you and they need to get another SIM card with your number on it.
And so what does this then allow them to do?
Well, it allows them to receive phones and SMSs to that number. So have a think about the number of things that you do in your day-to-day life where you have often very sensitive information, passwords, reset codes, other things that allow you to control your online life via SMS. We've all received the PIN, for example, that would come via SMS or a link to get back into your account. So think about all the different ways that you can access an account just by having your phone number.
And so you'll see on your phone an SOS, for example, and then time is of the essence, right?
Yeah, and look, the problem here is what we're seeing is you no longer have your phone number. So in the article just here, the lady sent an SOS on her phone, which could mean that she no longer has her phone number, could mean she's out of signal range as well. And we've all sort of been through that before. So it could be very benign, but it also could mean someone's taking over your digital life.
And so as I understand it, criminals did favour the porting before some safeguards were put in place. And I mean, is it now SIM swapping that's the fix to that for them?
Well, the challenge with all of this is that it usually involves socially engineering someone at a telco. If you think about porting, moving your number from one telco to another, unfortunately, in this particular case, telcos need to make it easy to move your number from one company to another. This is what we've done to ensure that we have a competitive marketplace. So inevitably, as the laws have tightened down a little bit on that, attackers have turned their attention to inside the organisation just issuing new SIM cards. But again, they need to somehow convince the telco that they are the victim in order to get the SIM card.
So we need the safeguards again at the telco level with this change in approach.
Yeah, and look, a lot of the problem that we have here is that the telcos have one view of how reliably you can identify someone based on a phone number, and then we have the likes of the banks and the social media platforms and everyone else having a different view. And unfortunately, the two don't quite align, and then we have the problem that we see here today.
So what steps can you take, both ahead of such a scam to prevent it happening or at least lessen the chances, and also if you actually believe that you are subject to it at that moment?
Well, preemptively, definitely have a look at whether your account can be recovered with a phone number alone. For example, a lot of social media platforms will allow you to recover an account if you can just get an SMS to that number. Turn that off and try and use a stronger form of two-factor authentication, an authenticator app or preferably even a hardware security key. And then if it does happen, definitely going to the telco and making sure that you recover that number as fast as possible. I'd probably be inclined to walk into the telco if practical and show your driver's license and your ID. And then it's a question of what they've gotten into. So that might mean contacting your bank or contacting social media platforms or people who may have then been reached out to by scammers. Very often scammers will get into a social media account and then reach out to all your friends and ask for money.
And does having apps on your phone with an automatic sign-in, does that make a difference to this?
Look, not so much. I mean, the apps on your phone are generally very well isolated, so they don't interact very much with each other. This is more a problem of an attacker being able to get access to a channel that's used for verification, and that channel, of course, is your phone number.
So, I mean, like any scam, is the trajectory here really concerning? It's on the rise?
Look, it's something that seemed to be a bigger problem a few years ago. I do think telcos seem to be lifting their game a little bit, but look, it's one of those sort of old things of if you're the low-hanging fruit, you tend to be the victim. So there's still a lot of people out there that are dependent on phone numbers for authentication, and the more we can move away from that, the better.